I think if there's one thing that ties all of us together, it's movies. We all love movies. I've yet to meet one person who doesn't like movies. Recently, I received a comment from Revia's Best Pony, "What up, Revi? How you doing?" asking me if I could do a list of my favorite movies. And I was like, sure, why not? So let's get this thing started. This is my top 10 favorite movies.
Number 10.
The Mummy. The 1999 version, that is. If you asked me to describe this movie in one word, I would say fun. It's one of those movies that knows when to balance horror, humor, and adventure. It didn't take itself too seriously, but serious enough that you weren't rolling your eyes at it. And most of the movie's charm came from the leading cast. Brendan Fraser, coming off of George of the Jungle, surprisingly makes a great Indiana Jones type character, and the way he plays off Evelyn and her brother Jonathan is a lot of fun to watch. The villains are entertaining too. Who doesn't remember Imhotep in this? And he plays the cursed monster part well, and it's offset by his comedic henchman, Benny, who's probably the most entertaining character in the movie. The part where he gets the multiple medallions out and starts praying to a variety of different gods is still a great bit, and I laughed out loud the first time I saw it. Oh, this still holds up today.
Number 9.
The original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie. Isn't it kind of weird that still to this day, with many different movies to come out after it, that the first one is still the best live-action screen adaptation of the iconic Ninja Reptile team? It probably had something to do with that this one had the most to prove. If it had bombed, then it's quite possible none of the following Turtles movies would ever have come out. So they knew they had to get it right, and boy did they. By far my favorite comic book movie, the original Turtles film took a chance and took a tone that was more similar to the comic books than the actual cartoon. I mean, what kid ever thought they would hear Raphael swear? Damn! It made it feel like we were watching the big kids version of Ninja Turtles. And the best part is that everything you see happening on camera is actually happening. No CGI needed, just good martial arts and Jim Henson puppetry. These turtle suits weigh a ton, and these performers are still able to pull off these moves. Man, and the Shredder, he's actually terrifying. A major difference than the one seen in the cartoon. And you know what else? At the time, this was the highest grossing independent film ever. That alone deserves some recognition.
Number 8.
Tron Legacy. Ever since I saw the original Tron movie, the franchise has held a special place in my heart. When Tron Legacy came out, I absolutely loved it. Yes, I will agree with what some people say, that some things could have been fleshed out a little better, like I would have loved if Tron had a bigger part to play, and I would have also liked to see more of the city and the people who live there. But from what we got, it's still very enjoyable. But what I would say I love the most is the art style. This is a movie that has a look all its own. If you see one screenshot from anywhere in this movie, you automatically know you're watching Tron. Well, except for when you're outside the grid, I guess. And did I mention the light cycles? Man, this is still a lot of fun to watch. It's like there's never a dull moment in this. There's always you just wanting to see what's coming next. It's just fun from beginning to end, in my opinion. And yeah, I know Tron 3 was canceled and then uncanceled, and I really don't know where it stands as of right now. But come on, Disney. This franchise still has potential to be the biggest thing ever if done correctly. Don't give up on it just yet.
Number 7.
Even though I would say that the movie genres I gravitate more towards are action, adventure, fantasy, and sci-fi, every now and then I do enjoy a good slice of life type movie. And for me, my favorite is Juno. Now, if you don't know about Juno, it follows a high school student who becomes pregnant, and the movie is about her adjusting to her new lifestyle and what she plans on doing after the baby is born. Honestly, to tell you the truth, it kind of reminds me a lot of how life was for others at my high school. I actually did know a few students that got pregnant, and a lot of the issues that Juno faces, they also faced as well. I guess that's one of the reasons why lots of people love this movie, because it wasn't really going for a cinematic feel and making things seem way bigger than what it was. It was just showing the life of a young woman who is pregnant and how she deals with it. My favorite scenes are whenever Juno and Polly are together. This seems the most real, and it reminds me a lot of the relationships I had in the past, where you can tell the two people want to be together, but they still have that teenage awkwardness. It just feels real. In fact, if you asked me to describe the movie as simple as I possibly could, it would just be Juno feels real.
Number 6.
Jurassic Park. Look, I love it, you love it, everyone and their grandma loves dinosaurs. I don't think I need to say anything else, do you?
Number 5.
Psycho. So a feature about movies that I've always appreciated are those ones where you don't know where things are going, and Psycho is definitely one of those. From the beginning of the movie, you'd think that you'd be following the character Marion Crane, since the plot is mainly focused around her. But once she arrives at the hotel and Norman Bates is introduced, the movie suddenly shifts to being more about him. And you know what? I'm not in the least bit upset about that, because he's an interesting character to get to know. Anthony Perkins plays the role perfectly. You just don't know what he's really about, and that adds to the mystery of the movie. Now, I won't go into great detail if you haven't seen this yet, but if you're a fan of classic horror, this is definitely a must-watch.
Number 4.
I've always liked the Rocky series, and when it came down for me to choose which one I liked the most, it was truly difficult. But I will admit there is one I like just a little bit more than the others, and that's the 6th installment, Rocky Balboa. I like the idea of following a character after everything is done, you know? Like you saw his life in the previous movies, and now you're just watching that person in retirement. But is he retired just yet? Well, yeah, he is. But he decides that he still wants to have one more fight. So yes, this is similar to the other movies, but it's still different enough to be unique. I love Sylvester Stallone in this. He delivers so many great speeches in this film that every time he finishes one, you just want to say, wow. Honestly, this movie keeps getting better and better the more I watch it.
Number 3.
Alright guys, I'm about to cheat and cheat hard. I'm not going to give the number 3 spot to just one of the Star Wars movies. I'm going to put all of the original trilogy in this spot. I mean, technically, if you asked me what my favorite Star Wars movie is, I would tell you Return of the Jedi. But the other two, honestly, I love just as much. The whole thing is just great sci-fi adventure storytelling at its finest. The heroes are relatable, the villains are awesome, and whenever they're on screen, you just want to see more of them. And one of the things I love the most are the details in the designs of the creatures and the environments. Unlike other space movies that were usually shown as being new and clean, this one looked dirty and old, and to me that made it feel more authentic. And every space battle I could watch over and over again. It never gets old.
Number 2.
Ah yeah, you know it, Ghostbusters. I absolutely loved this movie to death when I first saw it as a kid. It's just a cool concept, being able to go around and fight ghosts with lasers. What kid wouldn't want to do that? But it's not just the concept, it's also the characters, and Ghostbusters features an all-star cast. It is so much fun seeing these actors work off each other. You get the feeling that these guys, well, minus Winston, have been together for years, and they have a big brother-little brother dynamic. Heck, watching the scenes with Peter and Ray actually makes me think of myself and my older brother when we were younger. And you know what? I can't tell you how many times I imagined in my mind that I was a Ghostbuster when I was a kid. I wanted to be in the movie and work with these guys. What kid didn't want to pretend that they had a proton pack and fight the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man? The one thing I never really understood was why was this movie labeled as a comedy? It has some funny moments in it, sure, but I always thought it was more of a supernatural adventure movie. I just thought it was weird going to the rental store and seeing it next to the other movies like Naked Gun and Robin Hood Men in Tights. As a kid, I thought it would have fit in much better in between E.T. and Star Wars. But I guess that's just my opinion.
Number 1.
After sitting down and thinking hard about this list, I knew that my number 1 spot couldn't go to any other movie than Back to the Future. It's almost as perfect a movie as you can get. It's got time travel, memorable characters, and let's not forget the most awesome car in movie history. Who didn't want to go out and buy a DeLorean after watching this? Well, I mean, that doesn't mean we could actually afford one, but come on, who didn't want to at least ride in one after this monumental film? Even though all the characters in this film are great, by far Christopher Lloyd stands out as the most iconic as Doc Brown. His performance is just spot on. He's a genius, but also has a hint of nuttiness to him. Anytime he's on camera, he's just a ton of fun to watch. And while the first movie is way better than the 2 sequels that came before it, I'm sorry, but I'm just gonna have to cheat again. All 3 of them are my number 1 favorite, and here's why. When I was younger, I would always watch these 3 movies back to back. When one ended, I immediately put in the next one. It was like having one 5-hour-long movie. I know I broke the rules twice on this list, but these 3 movies have to be my number 1 favorite of all time. I just wouldn't have it any other way. So now I want to hear from you guys. What is your most favorite movie of all time? Leave a comment below. I'm KyleUniverse. See you out there.